Well, it's a chilly night in Kansas City, and we welcome you to beautiful Kauffman Stadium. It's the opening game of a brief two-game stop for the Redlegs as they take on the defending American League champion Kansas City Royals. And hi again, everybody. Alongside Chris Welsh and Jim Day, I'm Tom Brenneman. Delighted to have you with us on this Tuesday night from Kansas City. The key word tonight is good. We start first with the Royals. They are good.
You're not kidding about that. They do a lot of things good. Number one, they hit a lot. The Royals do. They've got a number of players in that lineup that are hitting 300. They score a lot of runs. They have the team batting average first in the league. Runners in scoring position first in the league. Oh, by the way, they pitch well, too. Their starting pitching, maybe not a lot to write home about, but their bullpen, they've essentially shortened the game to 6 innings, because if you don't get them by through the 6th inning, their bullpen gives up nothing out there.
We stay on the theme good. Johnny Cueto is real good. And in interleague, he's real good.
Well, Johnny Cueto's game travels. It just goes to show you it doesn't matter whether you're pitching against National League teams, American League ball clubs with a DH in there. It simply doesn't matter. When Johnny Cueto makes his pitches, he's among the best pitchers in all of baseball. You see the 11 starts he's had since 2012. And that's really when he began to get it as a major league pitcher. 7-2, a 1.9 earned run average. That's the kind of arm that travels anywhere. And Johnny Cueto, boy, the Reds need him to have a good game tonight.
And then there's good as in good TV. Because in Royals starter Yordano Ventura, you might see something you've never seen before. He gets people really upset.
Well, he does. And he also throws about 100 miles an hour, which, if it's up around your noggin, it gets you upset a little bit. He's already been suspended this year. His teammates and his manager have backed him. Every time he's gone a little bit wild on the mound, they just call him a young guy. He's emotional out there. We're trying to control it. Remember when you were 23 years old? You didn't always listen to authority figures. Well, that's where he is right now. The difference is he's on a major league mound.
All right, when we come back, Jim Day will give you the history, and there's not much of it, between the Cincinnati Reds and the Kansas City Royals. That and more coming up next. You're watching Reds Baseball on Fox Sports Ohio.
Network. Stay close to CincinnatiUSA.com. By Chevy. Check out our award-winning lineup only at your Tri-State Chevy dealer. And by Skyline Chili. Feeling good? It's Skyline time. I am Jim Day. We are at Kauffman Stadium. This stadium opened in 1973. It was then Royals Stadium. And these fountains in the outfield are one of the signature items in all of baseball. 322 feet wide. And it's the largest privately funded fountain in the entire world. The Reds haven't been here since 2009, but you talk to the players and the coaches that have been here before. It's one of the favorite stops on the circuit, not only the stadium, but the city as well. We hope that the Reds are saying that when they leave town, because if you look at our Elk and Elk storylines for tonight, you'll see that the recent history has not been great, although the overall history is not lengthy between these two clubs. 7th all-time series, the Royals lead 9-8. Reds are 3-3 all-time here in Kansas City. Last meeting was in Cincinnati, June of 2010, which KC won 2 of 3. And the last time they've been to Kauffman Stadium was 09, like I said, and the Royals swept the Reds in that series. It is a chilly night. Johnny Cueto going to the hill, and a new look lineup. It continues. Tom Brenneman and Chris Welsh have not only the lineup, but the first pitch and all the play-by-play action. Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio.
Thousand fans per game, fresh off a trip to the World Series a year ago where they lost in 7 games to the San Francisco Giants. So here the Reds are playing. Both teams have played in the Fall Classic in back-to-back series. The Reds starting lineup presented by Meyer. Again, Cozart at short, Pena behind the plate, Votto at first, Todd Frazier at third, Marlon Byrd at left, Brandon Phillips, the second baseman, with Jay Bruce, Kevin Mesoraco as a designated hitter, and Billy Hamilton bats in the 9th spot in center field against 23-year-old right-hander Yordano Ventura. 2 up, 3 down, ERA nearly 5.5.
He is a hard thrower, and that may be the understatement of the night right there. He ranked second last year in the average fastball, being the fastest in all the American League. Only Garrett Richards of the Angels throws it harder as a starter, and that average was 96.2 miles an hour as an average. So you're going to figure from time to time when he really feels spunky on a particular night, he'll dial it up right around Aroldis Chapman territory, 100, 102 miles an hour.
So here we go, the first of 2 between the Reds and the Royals, and Zach Cozart looks at strike 1. We're underway. Rob Drake, the umpire behind the plate. Joe West, the crew chief at first. Gabe Morales at second base. David Rackley, the umpire, at third. 57 degrees. And as many back on the home front know, you could not ask for a more beautiful day than we had in Cincinnati today. Temperatures right around 70 degrees and bright sunshine. Here it's cloudy and chilly. One shortstop to another. Alcides Escobar throws out Cozart. One away. We look at the Royals on defense. A couple of Gold Glove winners on this team defensively. Presented by Ford. Alex Gordon, a multi-Gold Glove winning left fielder. Kane outstanding in center. Hosmer at first. Moustakas at third. Escobar and Infante up the middle. And Salvador Perez, a catcher. You'll remember that name. He was a Royal that hit that line drive in spring training off the face of Aroldis Chapman. He receives the first pitch to Pena, strike one. A very short, not going to call it odd, it's just a short windup and delivery by Ventura.
Well, when you have an arm like that and he doesn't need a lot of extraneous movement to get it up there that fast, why have him do more than what he should do? And he almost has a backlash when he throws, where he fires falling backwards, but they're trying to keep him as calm and as compact as possible. He's got a forward step rather than a backward step, and he's got a little bit of a nice tilt, but his front leg land is very firm and almost like backfiring a little bit when he throws that ball. He really doesn't follow through over his front side.
Two down, nobody on, and now Joey Votto, the batter. Votto checks in at .292, 7 home runs and 21 runs batted in. A start of the year for the native Dominican. He had one of the best rookie seasons in Royals franchise history. Now here's a bit of an oddity. Take a look at this shift.
Well, they didn't do it until the 2-0 count came. So they figure here comes a fastball. Votto's going to roll over on it. They're going to put everybody on the other side. And Votto hits it right into the teeth of the shift, and they were right about that.
How about that? 9 pitches in a 1-2-3 opening inning for Ventura. Johnny Cueto tries to answer in the bottom of the first. Becoming the all-time leader in Royals franchise history for wins by a manager. He's 13 wins away from a mark owned by Whitey Herzog. We'll give you a starting lineup as Alcides Escobar leads off, followed by Moustakas and Kane. Hosmer, Morales, and Gordon in the middle. Perez, Infante, Orlando. Look at the batting averages up and down, and that doesn't even include all the power numbers. Not necessarily home runs, but doubles, triples, runs batted in. Johnny Cueto misses ball one to Escobar. As Chris mentioned a moment ago, the Royals #1 in all of Major League Baseball in team batting average. They are second in the American League in runs scored, despite the fact that they are 29th out of 32 teams in home runs. They have only hit a total of 13 home runs all year long. Well, that's how they got to the World Series last year. They're second in the American League in doubles. They are second in triples. They're second in total bases. They struck out the fewest number of times. 2-2.
And they don't walk a lot, though. That's the one unusual thing that kind of stands out when you're scanning the stat sheet about the Royals. So they're a team that comes to the batter's box ready to hit and really spray the ball around a little bit. It's not a team that tries to sit back and try to bludgeon you with home runs. But the real calling card of this ball club, Tom, is their bullpen, their defense, and they're hitting. I mean, they're everyday hitters. They're missing a couple of players out with injury, but I mean, for the most part, they've been able to stay healthy. And they could use an upgrade in their starting rotation, and I'm sure that they're looking around.
Broken back comebacker to Johnny. He'll take care of Escobar, and that's the way it starts here in the Royals' first inning. We look at the Reds on defense, presented by Ford. And they've been on defense a lot the last 3 games, giving up 30 runs to the Giants. Hamilton flanked by Bird and Bruce. Regular cast in the infield. Pena continues to catch. And with the DH tonight, that belongs to Devin Mesoraco. This is a very important week. Speaking of Devin Mesoraco, Brian Price telling us before the game that here in Kansas City, and if all goes well, of starting to just get up and down in a catcher's position regularly. He'll go in the bullpen in Cleveland and try to actually catch a bullpen session. And depending on the outcome after all is said and done and through this run of American League cities where he can DH, the Reds will have to determine then if he is fit to stay on the roster, if he's fit to catch the remainder of the season, or what's plan B.
Well, it sounds like the Reds have finally reached the point at which they decided that they cannot carry a DH on their ball club. And of course, you're talking about a guy who was scheduled to be the #4 hitter in the lineup. So it's not like some guy who can't hit a little bit.
In the hole, it's short. Cozart, a nice play and a real solid throw with his momentum going towards the third base bag, 2 away.
Moustakas was a guy that in years past teams used to just put the shift on, and he would hit the ball right into the teeth of the shift. This year, his batting average is much higher than it has been in years past because he's beginning to hit the ball the other way. So the Reds shift a little bit with Frazier coming off the bag at third, but they still have a shortstop where Moustakas hits the ball there.
Now Lorenzo Cain at .316, 3 home runs and 9 runs batted in. In there a strike. You can see a little bit of the Ned Yost influence on this club. Escobar used to be the Brewers' regular shortstop when Ned Yost was a skipper in Milwaukee, and of course Lorenzo Cain came up through the Brewers organization. Now he was here before Ned Yost was here. He came over in 2011. Actually, I beg your pardon. He came up the 1 year before, and 2010.
He was in that big deal that sent Zach Greinke from Kansas City to Milwaukee. That was when the Brewers were trying to go for everything. They're putting all in, and they needed Greinke to figure out that rotation.
Well, each pitcher starts this one with a 1-2-3 inning, and all 6 outs, ground ball outs. Go to the second, no score. documents his first 4 starts of the season. Start number 1, he had to leave the game with a thumb injury, so he didn't finish. Game number 2, had to leave the game gripping his right knee. Game number 3 against Oakland, had Brett Lowry ejected from the game. Start number 4, taunting Adam Eaton after a comebacker to the mound, inciting a bases or benches clearing brawl.
That was a brawl that eventually got a number of different players, including managers, not only thrown out of the game but suspended. Jeff Samardzija out for 5 games. Ventura went out for 7 games. His teammate on the mound, Edinson Volquez, suspended for 5 games for trying and missing with a haymaker on Samardzija. Probably the best miss he ever had all year.
Well, you better believe that. But I have a feeling those two will get together again sometime down the road, considering they play one another 18, 19 times. Scoreless game. We begin the 2nd inning. Todd Frazier with a count of 2 balls and a strike. Frazier with 12 home runs. Sharp ground ball knocked down by Moustakas. 1 out. You'll hear that tonight and tomorrow. Anytime he does anything at the plate or a ground ball is hit to him, the crowd will just chant "Moose" like they do Bruce in Cincinnati. Four ground ball outs for young Mr. Ventura to start tonight, and here's Marlon Byrd. Strike 1.
Well, he started everybody off with a fastball, so you might as well, if you're looking for fastball, go on up there and get it. When they first signed him, you know, he was only a strong-arm 16-year-old with a lot of promise. The first pitch he developed was a changeup. He now throws a curveball, and he's beginning to throw a cutter a little bit. His pitching coach, Dave Island, last year, Ventura went to him and said, "I want to throw a cutter. Everybody else is throwing cutters. Why can't I throw my cutter?" He said, "Well, you control the other 3. That's when we'll let you throw the cutter." So this year he's beginning to work that in a little bit. That's the curveball. There you see what he uses right there. Mostly fastballs, curveballs, and changeups.
It's a pretty good arsenal. Not a bad breakdown for a guy 23 years old. And there's a check swing and a miss, and Marlon Byrd becomes Ventura's first strikeout victim of the night.
Not that. I think that was the only fastball that he saw was the first pitch of the at bat, at least for a strike.
Two down for Brandon Phillips. Checks in at .310, a pair of home runs, 17 runs batted in. Brandon hitting nearly 400 on the road. It's interesting to note that Phillips only has 3 extra base hits all year. All 3 have come at home. He has 26 hits away from Great American Ballpark, and every one of them have been singles. Two hopper to short. Back-to-back perfect innings for Escobar. We're on our way to the bottom half of the 2nd inning. Ventura 6 up, 6 down. Look what he has done against left-handed batters moving along in his career over the last 4 seasons.
And that's the biggest bugaboo for right-handers, is how you handle left-handers.
Well, of course, as soon as we say that, Hosmer on the first pitch in the second inning is a left-handed batter, dumps one into left center, a base hit.
Now, he's a pretty good hitter, even though he's only 25 years old. Young man from South Florida, gets a base hit in the left field. But Johnny has been able to handle left-handers better and better each year for a number of reasons. Number one, he's added a cutter, which is a pitch that comes right in on the hands of a left-hander. And he's more perfected his changeup, which has more downward and away bite going away. So he's got a pitch that goes into him, and he's got a pitch that goes away from him.
Well, here's a guy that is making all the difference in the world so far anyway for this Kansas City team. And that's Kendrys Morales. Signed by the Royals in December, split 2014 between Minnesota and Seattle. Remember, at one time he was a big-time slugger after he came to the United States with the Angels. Had that terrible injury where he just fractured his ankle in multiple places. Hit 7 home runs over the final 43 games, all with Seattle last year. And already this year he has 4 homers but 30 runs batted in. Well, you just can't believe some of the numbers of these Kansas City Royals from an offensive standpoint. And again, it's not the home run ball.
You're right. I mean, he's got 30 runs batted in. It leads the American League, but he's only got 4 home runs. So 14 doubles is really the key for Morales.
Morales, another one of those players like the man who squats down behind him, who defected from Cuba. Played for the Cuban national team starting all the way back at the age of 19 years young. His first full year in the major leagues, he had 34 home runs with 43 doubles and 108 runs batted in with the Angels. Started off red hot the next year, got hurt, had the terrible injury which forced him to miss all of 2011. And had a couple of decent years after coming back. One with the Angels, one with Seattle, and then got off to such a terrible start last year. And the Royals taking a flyer on him, and so far paying big time dividends. 3-2. Now, this Royals team did a lot of running last year, and many believe they're still going to run a lot this year, but right now they're just hitting a lot. And there's ball 4. So a single and a double to start this Kansas City second inning, single and a walk to start this second inning. Alex Gordon got his much needed day off after 25 consecutive starts out in left field yesterday. 10 doubles. And trying to surprise everybody in the gym. Fouls it away. Gordon, a 2-time All-Star for these Kansas City Royals, led them in home runs with 1974 runs batted in a season ago.
And he's always been a fan favorite here because he came up through the organization. They picked him in the first round when they took the draft in 2005 out of the University of Nebraska.
Boy, and he is a Husker through and through. Born and raised, still makes his home in Lincoln, Nebraska.
Johnny missing with the spots just a little bit. We saw that early in the ball game, his last start against the Giants. He really wasn't happy with himself. A couple of different innings out there, and then all of a sudden the Reds got him a little bit of a lead, and it was Katie bar the door.
2-2 pitch. Got him swinging. First strikeout of the night for Johnny Cueto.
And that's really what Johnny's game has been simplified down to nowadays, which is add and subtract, move it around in the corners. Following the changeup, he goes with a fastball and just throws it right by Gordon.
Salvador Perez at 288, 5 home runs, 21 runs batted in, 7 doubles. He had a big day here a couple of days ago when the Royals finished off a series win over the New York Yankees.
Well, Cueto's got to be thinking that Perez is a ground ball double play waiting to happen. 22 of them last year. He's already grounded into 8 this year. So you get the ball down, have him roll over on it, let your defense do a little work. And the more you're in a pitcher's count, the more it swings in your advantage to get a ground ball. Perez will just try to make contact and maybe just slip one out there to one of your middle infielders.
0-2 on Perez, and here comes the pitch, and it's fouled out of play.
Johnny going for a strikeout with that pitch. That's what we were talking about. Jose Abreu in Chicago's got 8 ground ball double plays, and right there with Salvador Perez.
Two on, 1 out, no balls, 2 strikes. Cueto to the plate, and we'll do it once more. Well, they refurbished this ballpark, as Jim Day brought up earlier, in 2009. What a magnificent job they did. You know, they're very different ballparks as far as the size is concerned, but for nostalgia purposes, this would probably be the equivalent of the Dodger Stadium, if you will, of the American League. An oldie but goodie, and they've made it even better. Back-to-back strikeouts for Cueto.
Going right down and in with a 2-seam fastball. And, you know, Johnny Cueto is just so hard to guess along with. We'll call that our flamethrower strikeout of the night, brought to you by Cholula Hot Sauce. But he threw a previous pitch, he throws a high fastball going away from the hitter. The next pitch, he comes down and in with a hard sinking fastball. Both fastballs, but 2 entirely different fastballs.
So the first 2 reached, the next 2 strike out, and Cueto with 1 more out to go. He faces Omar Infante. Infante's the first guy you hit in the lineup that's not hitting 273 or higher. And there's only 1 of them in the 270s. Everybody else is 288 or better.
And he's really the only guy in the lineup that has had any kind of measure of appearances against Cueto. That's the cutter there. Maybe it's a slider. Sometimes it's really hard to chart Johnny Cueto because some of those pitches that are going away from a right-hander like that has a little downward break. So I would call that probably a slider. That's definitely the slider. Now, why not go back to it after you get a swing out of Infante the way it was the pitch before? Let him make the adjustment, not you.
So now with the deuces wild here at 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, 2 on. Cueto tries to put inning number 2 on ice, and the pitch runs wide, full count. Base hit left field, and the Royals take a 1-0 lead on a 2-out, 2-strike single by Infante.
And a pretty good at bat for Infante, because he eventually gets into a count where Johnny has to throw a strike. And he grooves it right down the middle. Infante gets a solid base hit to left field. Cueto wanted one of those sliders to be close enough to the plate that Infante would chase and miss. But he missed badly with a couple of them, ran the count full, and had to throw it in there.
Well, when you look at this Royals team, and we have talked so many times about all the struggles the Reds have had this season batting with runners in scoring position. For the Royals, it is just astounding, their numbers. We gave you the team numbers as this will be a bunt hit to load up the bases. Orlando lays one down beautifully with 2 outs, and they're loaded.
Now, you really wouldn't think that this would happen, but just trying to keep the line moving. You know, there's a lot of baseball wisdom that would say, well, why would you bunt with 2 outs and a man on second base? You're never going to drive a run in that way. And those who would disagree would say, well, you keep the line moving, you turn the lineup over to the top guy in the order, and now you've got better hitters there at the top than you do at the very bottom, where Paulo Orlando hits.
So here's Escobar, who broke his bat on a bouncer back to Cueto, leading off the first inning. Johnny's pitches are piling up early in this one. He's up over 40, and he's thrown more than 25 of those in this second inning. I'm going to finish that thought about the Royals. We told you overall they're hitting .309, and that's gone up already in the game tonight. There's a liner to center to end the inning. But consider this. Over the last 3.5 weeks, they are batting .350 with runners in scoring position, and they lead 1-0. Last couple of games brought to you by Kia, and the Reds are hoping that continues. 5 for his last 9 with a couple of home runs. 6 in a row retired by Yordano Ventura. And Jay Bruce looks at a strike. And now they'll do the same thing they did to Votto. On the first pitch, Moustakas plays third base. Then he moves to the other side of the infield.
Well, with Votto, they did it on a 2-0 count. With Jay Bruce, they did it after a first pitch strike. And I think that was simply to take away a bunt attempt. I mean, if you got the third baseman right there, Jay Bruce is not going to lay a bunt down.
Well, he hits it right over the shift. So now Jay 6 for his last 10. Now with the Reds, we're talking so much, Chris, about the running game. They lead the major leagues in stolen bases, but trying to run against this combination, although it's only his second full season in the major leagues, this duo of Ventura and Perez is mighty tough to run against.
Well, just watch how compact he is and quick he is to the plate. I mean, they don't even try to run on him. And that's the thing. It's not like they've tried to run a whole lot and they've been turned down by Perez's arm. They just simply don't try.
Just 4 runners have attempted to steal on Yordano. He's only allowed the 1 stolen base in 239 innings on the mound, and that was by Cespedes, who stole a base while with Boston last September the 12th right here.
And if you break it down only for Salvador Perez, I mean, he is at the upper echelon of catchers throwing runners out. I mean, even if you look over the last few years, this guy is one of the best of the best. Stolen base percentage for him is around 56%, which is way lower than what it is for just about every other catcher out there.
Now, should Billy Hamilton get on, we know that he's going to try to steal. It doesn't matter who the catcher is or who the pitcher is, and he's proven that with, Yadier Molina, who's never thrown him out, at least not yet. But everybody else, the Reds may be far more reluctant to think about it. Mesoraco shoots one up the left field line. Bruce will advance on to second, so the Reds start this third inning with back-to-back hits, trailing by a run.
I'll tell you, for a guy that's not getting a lot of plate appearances, Devin Mesoraco looks like he's right on the ball. This is the breaking ball. Hung up there a little bit, yeah, but man, he just lets it rip, doesn't he? There was no holding back with that swing.
Well, you can only wonder what kind of a difference, and we'll never know. Through the first 38 games of this season, what with the Reds seemingly almost in every game, just needing that one big hit, where would they be with Mesoraco fully healthy and playing every day?
Now we got a situation here, Tom, where in first and second in a National League game, you're thinking, well, you got the pitcher up in the number 9 spot. Now you got Billy Hamilton, presumably the best bunter on the team. Well, this is a bunt situation. The question is, where is he going to put it down?
Well, he does a job this time. Billy has struggled, and he almost beat it out. Boy, Moustakas had to get rid of that thing in a hurry, and that's a nice pick by Hosmer at the other end. So Billy gets a job done.
Puts a little backspin on this ball, he does, and the way it comes up, and he's got to go after it. Moustakas does. And he hurried his throw, and that's a nice pick at the other end by Hosmer to save that ball going down the right field line.
So now an RBI chance for Cozart. Runners at second and third, 1 out in the inning. Ball 1.
Now the Royals will play the corner infielders in, and the second baseman and the shortstop back. So if Cozart does what he did in the first inning, which is ground to shortstop, you pick up a run right here.
So if Cozart doesn't hit it to the shortstop. 2 away in the inning. Sometimes it doesn't have to be a hit. As Chris just mentioned, sometimes it's just a ground ball. Look at the difference when it matters. That is money hitting time right there. Thus, one team's 10 games over. It's not the entire reason, but it's a big part of it. And another game is 2 games under.
Well, that's a sad lament, though, of every manager whose team does not hit with runners in scoring position. How many times in a post-game interview do you hear him say, well, we had our chances, but we just didn't get the big hit at the right time? I mean, it happens all throughout baseball, every year, for generations.
Now you're leaning on Brian Pena to get you a 2-out hit. And Pena's had a lot of hits this season. Comes in batting .337. He bounced out to the second baseman Infante in the first inning. Royals with a 1-0 lead. Reds with runners at second and third. Fastball at 99 miles per hour by Ventura.
Brian Pena spent a lot of his major league career right here in Kansas City. Came over here from the Atlanta Braves. He signed in 2009 when he was 27 years old and spent the next 4 years here.
Started 2, didn't look like he went on the appeal to David Rackley. He did not. And Brian gives a lot of the credit of him once he got to the United States to the one-time Red Scout, spent a long time here in Kansas City, just retired, Dean Taylor. All the help that he provided for Pena in his new country after defecting from Cuba. Swung on and fouled out of play.
He told a great story behind the batting cage before the game today with Mike Jersley. Jersley's the third base coach, and he was the manager of AAA New Orleans when Brian Pena came over here and got sent down to Omaha. He was DFA, designated for assignment, and he was all angry about going down to AAA. So he went down and caught his first game for Jersley at AAA, and he didn't put much effort into it. He just like snagging a ball. He wasn't moving his body. He didn't look like he cared at all. He took an offer at the plate. Jersley called him in the office and said, hey, you know where you are in your career? You know what DFA means? It means that 29 teams pass on you. They don't want you. Right now you're on the last team. And he said, you better pick it up. He did, and Brian Pena to this day says that Mike Jersley saved his major league career.
Great work by Ventura. Reds come up scoreless. By the USO, introduce you to the World War II veteran who ushers at the ballpark. And we'll bring you the story of a veteran who gave as much on the baseball field as he did on the battlefield. That's what Jeff Picoro and Doug Flynn. Brand new episode tomorrow at 6 right here on Fox Sports Ohio. Reds miss a golden chance to tie the game, even take the lead. Runners at second and third, one out, and Ventura gets off the hook. So 1-0 Royals as they bat against Johnny. 2, 3, 4 here in the third. One and one on Moustakas, who grounded out to the shortstop Kozart in the opening inning. There weren't a lot of Royals around in 2009 and 2010. Those were the last two times the Reds saw these Royals, and the two times Johnny Cueto faced Kansas City. This team has been built in many ways like the Reds have been built. A lot of homegrown talent and a group all coming together of age at the same time. There's a base hit by Moustakas. The difference between the two is the Royals haven't hit that state yet, Chris, where the Reds are now, where you either pay them or they walk out the door.
Well, you got some young players. For instance, they have signed their pitcher Ventura to a long-term deal. He can't be a free agent until 2020, but they wrapped him up before he was even arbitration eligible. So it was a deal that doesn't cost them a lot of money, but they've got a lot of faith he's going to stay healthy and be productive. Lorenzo Cain, 29, the guy who just got that base hit to left field. Moustakas is only 26. Salvador Perez is 25. So you're right. Those guys are on the cusp of beginning to cost the ball club more money in arbitration, or maybe a long-term extension if the club goes that way.
It's going to be very interesting to see what the Royals decide to do with some of these players. We know what the Reds did. They went out and locked up a lot of these guys. Locked up Bruce to a long-term deal before, his free agent years were going to hit. We know about the contract with Votto. Long-term deal with Brandon Phillips. Frazier a couple of years. Mesoraco they just gave a 4-year contract to. Two and one on Lorenzo Cain. Two balls and a strike. 3-1.
Well, they seem to be a little more patient than I thought they would be, just based on their numbers of bases on balls, for instance, that the Royals have had this year. They're not among the league leaders at all, even though they're among the league leaders in batting average. But they're being more patient tonight with Johnny Cueto, maybe in an attempt to try to run the pitch count up a little bit, get into that bullpen.
All that they are doing. This is his 51st pitch of the night coming up, and there's nobody out here in the third inning. See a 28-pitch second inning for Cueto. Long run for everybody. Not sure anybody gets there. Three balls, two strikes, and a foul ball out of play. This ballpark, from our perspective, and we're blessed to really have the best seat in the house.
No doubt.
Wherever we go, but it is so out of the norm in that, every ballpark you go to that we go to, it has an upper deck somewhere in the outfield, or at least somewhere that stretches into the field of play. Here, that is not the case. There's a swing and a miss by Cain. So the upper deck, which we can really barely see here because it's all from basically inside each foul pole behind the home plate area. Then they have the beautiful water fountain, which they've always had here. They've preserved that when they redid the ballpark. It's a unique look compared to anywhere else you go. Of course, they have the football stadium. There's a sharp grounder. This should be 2, and it is to end the inning. Cueto needed that. Votto to start things in the Reds' fourth. Reds trail 1-0. Booked 35 times on the 2015 Esurance MLB All-Star Game ballot. Remember now, everything is online. No more of the paper ballots. It's all available on your computer, your tablet, or smartphone. Vote early, vote often. You can log on to Reds.com. Can't wait for that All-Star Game. A lot of the folks here in Kansas City, and boy, they're just such nice people. You come to the ballpark everywhere you go. Hey, nice to have you here. Good to see the Reds in town. And everybody wanting to know, are you excited about the All-Star Game in Cincinnati? They just had it here 3 years ago. Did a great job after they had refurbished the ballpark, renovated this whole place. I don't know about you, Chris, but I say the same thing over and over. You just pray so hard for good weather when you have that kind of event in your city.
Well, you're right, Tom, but I mean, the preparations for it are going great. The closer we get, the more we hear about different events going on, different parties, and surprise things that are coming up. It's just, I can't be more excited. I mean, it is no longer just an All-Star Game. I mean, it is several weeks of events, really. I mean, culminating with the week before and then the week of the All-Star Game.
Nothing in 2 on Joey Votto. Reds down 1-0. And Votto just an inside-out swing. They're putting that shift on him again.
Well, Perez wanted that ball down. Perez is the catcher. He kept motioning to Ventura, hey, get this ball down the dirt. He hung it up right there, and Votto just kind of fouled off to stay alive. Wow, that is a pretty nasty combination of pitches right there. When you're a young man that has the kind of arm speed that Ventura does, your curveball is going to be off the charts because a good curveball requires arm speed. He throws 100 miles an hour with a fastball, and when he starts to drop a changeup on you, That's on the verge of being unfair.
Frazier bounces one under the glove of the shortstop Escobar. Even if he fields it cleanly, he's not going to throw Frazier out at first. So that'll be a base hit for Todd, his first, and the Reds' third. They had singles to open the third inning if you're just joining us. Billy Hamilton advanced the runners with a sacrifice. But then Ventura got down to business. Got Cozart on a tapper to third. Runners had to stay put and struck out Pena to end the inning. Marlon Byrd, a strikeout victim, his first time up. Drives this ball into right center field. Kane able to make the sliding grab. It looked like some late communication there between Kane and Orlando, and Kane went and got it.
Well, it looked like Kane could have had that ball all the way, no problem, but he was giving way to the right fielder, Orlando. Orlando's being pressed into service because of an injury in the outfield, but Kane goes back there, and you know, we remember him making some terrific defensive plays as a member of the Milwaukee Brewers, and they say here in Kansas City he pretty much gets everything that's in the air out there.
Well, I've asked our tape operator, the best in all the business in all of America, Matt Sigafus, if he can dial up that catch, which I still maintain is the best single catch I have ever seen at Great American Ballpark, made by an outfielder. Taking off is Frazier, and he's out by 20 feet. Friends or family members, upload 2 photos at foxsports.com/fantasticallstar right now, and that runs through June the 3rd, so get on that ASAP. Royals back from Kauffman Stadium, home half of the 4th inning with a 1-0 lead over Johnny Cueto and the Reds, first of 2. The Royals will make the return visit to Great American Ballpark later this summer, and that will be a 2-game series as well. Off speed, swung on and missed by Morales, who walked his first time up. Well, naturally, when you go to a World Series, you're going to have a big bump as far as fan interest is concerned the following years. Here's a fly ball to Bird for out number 1, and that they've seen so far this year, both in the turnstiles and eyeballs on the televisions. The Royals are leading all the Major League Baseball in television ratings, number 1 of any team. And in the turnstiles, they're up at 31,000 per game. They're basically averaging the same as the Reds are so far this year.
And last year at this time, I mean, really before you get to the World Series, talking to some of the guys out on the field, they say, well, we may get 30 tonight. Last year would have been about 15.
Sure.
School is not out yet, so a lot of kids are still not coming out to ball games and staying out late like they would normally in summer months.
Well, that's where they're figuring to get the big bump and really kick into gear like a lot of teams do around baseball, but especially on the heels of that trip to the World Series, losing in 7 games to the Giants. Now they'll sell out every game this weekend. You can mark that down. They have the St. Louis Cardinals coming to town. That's the first time in a long time. Even last year, many forget, this Royals team was a sub 500 club through the first 100 games roughly of the season. And then they just absolutely caught fire over the final 2+ months. That one hooked down the line, foul. And remember now, they did not win their division despite winning the pennant. The Detroit Tigers won the American League Central, and the Royals had to play in the 1-game wild card.
Right. There are a lot of baseball people that feel like you almost have an advantage when you come into the playoffs as a wild card team once you get past that 1-game do or die play-in game. But no one really expects you as a wild card team to do anything. And lo and behold, that's what you had last year in the World Series. 2 wild card teams, the Giants and the Royals, going down to Game 7.
Yep. Both of them had masterful pitching performances. For the Royals, it was their bullpen more so than their starters. Of course, for the Giants, it was Madison Bumgarner over the Pirates. Broken bat. That's 2 broken bats in 1 trip to the plate for Gordon. And Cueto had to duck out of the way of the head of that bat.
Well, he gets this right on the end of the bat. 2 ways to break a bat. One is to get right in on the hands of the hitter where you just saw him right off. And the other is you hit a weak spot at the very tip of the bat. And that's oftentimes where you see the bat go flying, is when it breaks on the end.
2 down. And Perez takes low and away for ball 1. Beautiful breaking ball, snaps in there, 2-0 for a strike. Ball shot into right center field, and this will be an extra base hit. 8th double of the year for Salvador Perez.
Well, this young man is some kind of strong. I mean, that's just a nice little easy swing right there. A fastball that comes out over and catches at pretty much the heart of the plate.
You put it into just straight numbers. That is the 83rd double this season for the Kansas City Royals. 83rd. The Reds have 38. Soft liner caught by Votto, and that'll end the inning. Royals in front of Johnny Cueto and the Redlegs through 4, 1-0.
back into it just because those muscles haven't been used, So even some of the soreness down there probably isn't from the hip. It's probably more so just because I haven't done it. So it's just going to be a slow process here.
There's no pain or catching of the hip? Nope.
No, it felt fine. I think that definitely no alarm sirens or anything like that going off in there. Everything felt pretty good.
I'm Jim Day. There's optimism with Devin Mesoraco. For the first time in over a month, as Tom Brenneman talked about earlier, he squatted and did some catching exercises, and he said, as you heard right there, that he thinks the muscles around it, since he hasn't squatted in a while, hurt a little bit, but the hip area did not hurt. He said he's going to take baby steps. It's going to be a very slow process if he gets behind the plate this year. And as you said, Tom, they've got eyes on doing more tomorrow, and then in Cleveland, perhaps catching a bullpen session. Here's video from that right there. And again, that's the first time in over a month he's even been allowed to squat in position. He was showing a little bit of aches and pains during the process, but afterwards he says, I'm optimistic, so we'll see how it goes.
Well, that's good news. So we'll keep our fingers crossed on that, because the Reds need him back in that lineup regularly. Kevin Dew up third here in the Reds' fifth inning. Phillips grounded out to the shortstop, his first time up. Reds trailing 1-0, and it's 2-1.
I get the feeling, Tom, that Devin Mesoraco, he's just not the kind of guy that wants to talk about his injury. I mean, guys rarely do, but he really is reluctant. Good thing we've got Jim Day down there on the spot to so close to those players.
No question.
Open up a little bit to them.
Yep. One out. Well, we invite you to follow the Reds all season long with MLB.com at bat. Get up to the moment at any moment. With in-game highlights, live look-ins, replay reviews. Get MLB.com at bat for your smartphone or tablet. We're at Kauffman Stadium in Kansas City. Reds have not been here since 2009, and their last visit was not a good one. They were swept in a 3-game series. They trail 1-0 in the first of 2 here tonight. We're in the top of the 5th. Grounded foul by Jay Bruce, who had a base hit into right center his first time up.
All right, same thing as last time. After a first pitch strike, Moustakas, the third baseman, goes over into the right side of the infield. They leave it wide open over here. They figure they'll do this because Bruce will not lay a bunt down or attempt to now with a strike on him. Because if you do and you bunt it foul, now you're in an 0-2 hole. And most hitters never want to get to that spot, especially against a pitcher that throws 100 miles an hour.
Well, the Royals this season, and a lot of guys around their ball club were talking about it before the game today. They are looking for that game, that game to really set Ventura in the right direction. A 14-game winner a season ago. He hasn't had that game yet. His first start of the year was a good one, but he left injured. Allowed 1 run in 6 innings. But you just look over his last 3, 4, 5 starts. 5 runs, 4 runs, 5 runs allowed his last start down in Texas.
Also the number of walks over those last 3 starts. That was the problem with Ventura, is that he wasn't getting the ball over the plate. Nine walks total in his last 3 starts. He has not walked a batter tonight.
Mesoraco, a sharp single up the third base line, his first time up. Game of note in the National League Central. The Cardinals are blasting the New York Mets 10-2. That game in the 7th inning. And Milwaukee is clobbering the Tigers. A game in the 8th inning, 7-1 Brewers. And how about Mesoraco? You brought up earlier how he's right on it. And he's on it again, a perfect 2 for 2 tonight.
Well, not intimidated one bit by that first pitch fastball that came near him inside. I mean, he just turns on this fastball and says, you want to come in here again? You better get more inside than that.
Billy Hamilton put down a sacrifice, advancing Bruce and Mesoraco back in the third. The Reds were unable to bring in a run. Mesoraco at first, 2 out. Strike 1 to Billy.
Moustakas is way up close at third base. I mean, he's trying to take away just the idea of a bunt from Billy Hamilton right now, saying, don't even think about it. But you got the right side wide open. You know, you watch Giordano Ventura pitch, Tom, and you can see why. If you're in the American League, that you love him if he's on your team, but if he's on the other team, he wears his uniform, got a couple of buttons unbuttoned. I mean, you're like, kind of a hot dog here. We want to get to this guy. And he's got a reputation of being a little bit of a hothead that even adds to it even more. He threw that ball right by the catcher Perez to put Mesoraco in scoring position.
So Mesoraco moves into scoring position. It's 2 balls and a strike on Hamilton. And now 2-2. Ventura picks up his 5th strikeout of the night. 1 hit, 1 left, middle of the 5th. Royals still leading 1-0. Sydney LaRue. She's the youngest member of that 2012 U.S. soccer team that won the gold medal in London, and she's married to Sporting KC player Dom Dwyer, and she now makes her home right here in Kansas City. Her dad is Ray Chadwick. You remember that name? Played one year with the California Angels. I tell you what, man, if there is one sport, and there are a few of them, but where the United States women have owned the world, it is in women's soccer. They are just spectacular. And of course, the World Cup will be coming your way right here on Fox and Fox Sports 1. There's a base hit into center field. Orlando 2 for 2 tonight. Got a bunt hit his first time up.
Orlando's kind of an interesting story, really. A guy that was floundering down the minor leagues for a long time. One of the rare players that you'll get out of the country of Brazil. 29 years old now. He's a big guy, but they say once he gets going, after about 3 or 4 steps, he's as fast as anybody in the league. Played for the Brazilian team, the WBC, therefore he played for Barry Larkin.
One put down successfully by Escobar, advancing Orlando on to second base. That's right. And of course now Barry is back working inside the Reds organization. I guess he was just down in, just read an article the other day, spent a number of days in Pensacola. Of course he makes his home in Florida. So that's an easy ride. What is that, Pensacola over to Orlando? Can't be more than what, 2.5, 3 hours, maybe a little longer than that?
Oh, I think it's longer than that. Pensacola's way out there on the panhandle. Maybe 3 hours. If Barry drives like you, maybe 2.5. Well,
you got to get there. Big batter in this ball game. The Reds have only managed 4 hits, no runs, and this one's hooked down the line. This will extend the lead. Moustakas with a double, his 9th, and it's 2-0 Kansas City.
Well, another night where Johnny Cueto doesn't have much of a margin of error. He hangs a little changeup right there, center of the plate. Moustakas is all over it. He has really changed his approach and his swing. He used to be a guy that would stand up there and essentially try to pull everything. Hit a ground ball to shortstop, had a base hit to left, but that changeup down the middle looked too good to do anything but rip it.
Still work to do for Cueto. Only 1 out in the inning in the heart of the order coming up. Lorenzo Cain 0 for 2. Just grounded to short and struck out. Still are having a very light shower here.
Well, they're expecting rain to come in tonight. And rain throughout the night into early tomorrow. Should not affect tomorrow night's ball game, but it'll be a rainy, cold day here in Kansas City. Might cut into your sightseeing time trying to get around to see all those beautiful fountains that are downtown.
Really? I wasn't aware of that. I've really never spent any time downtown in Kansas City.
This is the city of fountains. In fact, you know, the sister city program between cities in the United States and in Europe mostly. The sister city to Kansas City is Seville, Spain, also known for many fountains.
Wow. But we don't stay in downtown Kansas City when we're here.
No, we stay in beautiful area. I'm not even sure what.
The Plaza.
The Plaza.
Yeah, very, very beautiful area.
Which is actually architecturally designed after Seville. See a lot of Spanish influence.
Yeah, it is really nice. You know, it's amazing what a little good zoning will do for you.
You're right. They started out a long time ago.
1-2 the count on Lorenzo Cain. It's a foul ball. Well, Cueto wasn't going to try to serve his umpire. He was taking a look immediately at Moustakas back at second base. A run in the second on a single by Infante with 2 out. A 1-out double here in the 5th by Moustakas. 2-0 Royals. In the air, Jay Bruce waits. 2 out. Very odd. The Reds had the off day yesterday. They play tonight and tomorrow. They have another off day on Thursday. And then they come back home, and after playing a 3-game series against Colorado, they'll have another off day. 4 of them within a 8-9 day time frame. And then they won't have an off day for 23 days in a row. It is very, very odd. I just counted that wrong. It was 21 days in a row.
That's the limit.
Yeah, the limit, right. Well, you'd love to have, one here, one there. Of course, it's the same for everybody. Nobody's complaining about it. Of course, the Reds, with this oddity of 2 off days within a 4-day stretch, have 2 of their prized young arms working out of the bullpen, as it's 1 ball and 2 strikes on Hosmer, where Lorenzen and Iglesias are down there for the time being. But Brian Price, after the game on Sunday, said, look, it's time for the rotation to pick it back up, because they do have options for guys that don't. He said before the game, to clarify those statements a little bit, he said, I still believe in the guys that we have here that they'll get it done. He said, but make no mistake, we have options. Hitting over. Royals add a run, and at the end of 5, they lead Cueto and the Reds 2-0.
Now the pace of play and the between innings clock seems to be working in Major League Baseball. We'd love you to check out FoxSportsOhio.com for more on this. Reds right now averaging 2 hours and 49 minutes game length. 9 of the 37 games over 3 hours, 4 of the 9 in extra innings. And the Reds have played 10 games under 2 minutes and 30 seconds. And right now on FoxSportsOhio.com, you can read more on the MLB's pace of play initiatives, as Kevin Goheen writes on the progress, gets reaction from the Reds players, and more details on how the Reds are one of the fastest teams. Pretty quick moving game so far tonight, boys.
That it is. 2-0 in favor of the Royals. Thank you, Jimbo. I talked to a buddy of mine the other day, and he had to go on a business trip down to Memphis, Tennessee. They have a beautiful new ballpark down there. As that fastball is 99 up and in to Zach Kozai. Anyway, at AA and in AAA is where they're experimenting with a pitch clock during this season. And he's the first person that I've talked to as a fan about what it was like, and did you find yourself looking at that pitch clock regularly throughout the game? He said, I did. He said, what's even more amazing? No one even came close to maxing out on the pitch clock. He said the pitcher's getting the ball, and he said you just can't believe how fast the game is moving along.
Now, what number do they put on the pitch clock?
15 seconds. I thought it was 20.
Well, the rule book says 12 seconds. From the time the pitcher has the ball and the batter's in the batter's box, he's got 12 seconds to deliver the ball. And I'm not sure when they started at the 15 seconds. When he gets the ball back?
He thought yes, when the pitcher got the ball back from the catcher. 1 out. You know, with Cozart going in a leadoff spot, you know, this is one of those experiments that as a manager, if it works out, then you look great. If it doesn't work out, people are yelling and screaming, saying, what are you doing? At this point in time, the way the season has gone for Billy Hamilton so far, I don't think anybody can blame Brian Price for trying to juggle the lineup, especially at the top of the batting order.
Well, it's not only Cozart. You've also got Brian Pena back up at the top of the order as well. Of course, Pena was swinging the bat hot, so you're going to go to him. Cozart was swinging the bat hot, so you go to him at the top. I don't think you can blame Brian Price. As is most the case, he's not up there swinging the bats. You know, we did that little ditty between innings about when Jim Day came back about the pace of game and how the Reds are, you know, one of the quickest teams out there. Well, that's a two-edged sword. It means that you're staying within all of MLB guidelines and to speed up the game, pace rules. But if you're mashing a lot of hits out there and you get a lot of base runners, you're not playing fast games. Reds are playing fast games because they're not hitting.
Joey Votto 0 for 2. The top of the order has been completely shut down thus far by Ventura, collectively 0 for 8. Cozart, Pena, and Votto.
Votto's had a few fastballs that you can see the body language afterwards that just angry that he missed them. The first at bat, I think he was completely psyched out after a 2-0 count. Then the Royals went through the shift and he looked up and he watched the third baseman run all the way into the area in right field. And he made it out on the very next pitch.
Well, there is a lengthy conversation ongoing out there at the mound, the third baseman and the pitcher. And now Moustakas will go ahead and move over even with a 1-strike count.
Perez got that ball right off his left bicep. And that's the reason why they're delaying it, is trying to give him a breather. Boy, you know, if you're behind the plate as an umpire with your Dano Ventura on the mound, you better be awake.
No doubt about it.
You better make sure you got your shin guards on and strapped up good. Rob Drake does a little dance. You might want to wear those pads they have in cricket. They seem to have a little better coverage than just those little shin guards that the umpires wear beneath the pads.
I don't think that's a bad idea at all. I know you might be saying a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but I'll tell you, if I were back there, you're talking about 50-year-old men, you know, in some cases younger than that, some cases older than that. I mean, their reaction time can't be expected to be that of these players running around in their 20s. There's a liner into left center, and the Gold Glove winning Gordon tracks it down. Reds gone in order. On that Sunday, as part of our Family Sundays, kids 14 and younger receive a team baseball card set presented by Cons. Take advantage of special family ticket offers. 381-REDS. Visit select Kroger locations or log on to reds.com/family. 84 pitches through the front five for Johnny Cueto. He trails 2-0. Lined hard by Morales, caught by Hamilton.
Cueto now taking a little bit of time behind the mound after that pitch that was resulted in the line drive by Morales. He was kind of limping around out there a little bit. I'm not even sure what leg or foot is bothering him. I would think it's his left, but
well, he'll have to sprint over to first. Votto sticking a fork in that one. And feeds Cueto at the bag for the second out of the inning.
Well, he had a 28 pitch inning in the second inning. Cueto did, and since that time he's tightened it up considerably. He faced 6 batters in that inning, and every other inning the max he has faced has been, well, he did face 5 last inning, but he's on the verge of a quick 1-2-3 here.
His only perfect inning of the night. Now twice he has faced the minimum number of batters, but his only perfect inning was the opening frame. And by the way, some of you probably knew this, and we found out for sure. Chris did in between innings. That pitch clock in the minor leagues is actually 20 seconds, not 15, which I had said a moment ago. So it is a 1-2-3 inning for Johnny. We'll keep an eye on him to see if he's okay. Reds will bat in the 7th, trailing by a pair. Dealer Ford, go further. By Meyer, from officially licensed team apparel to game day party platters, you'll find everything you need to feed the fans in your family at Meyer. And by Cincinnati Children's, ranking 3rd in the country on the U.S. News and World Report's best children's hospitals in America. The Power and Light District. Downtown Kansas City. I guess, Chris, that's a place to be. I don't know any major league team that stays in the downtown area when they come here. Everybody, I think, stays out where we stay.
Well, the ballpark is nowhere near the downtown area. It's essentially out in the suburbs, right?
Mm-hmm. I believe just slightly southeast of downtown. And the airport is northwest of downtown.
All right, so are we in Missouri or Kansas right now?
We are in Missouri. But, of course, it's right down the road. Talking to a guy today here in town. I mean, this is hardcore. University of Kansas country. They love the Jayhawks. How far down the road is that town? 45 minutes away.
Well, you got to show me.
Of course, that's Missouri's motto. But they're rooting for the school across the border in Kansas, a lot of them around here. All right, Reds down 2-0. We mentioned earlier, Chris did, that Ventura had walked 9 batters. His last 3 starts, he's not walked anybody tonight. He's 3-0 on Frazier. 3-1.
Well, the Reds really haven't been all that patient at the plate. They've gone up and swung a lot of first pitches. Now they haven't put a lot of those in play. It's almost a double-edged sword. You don't want to get down in the count to a guy that's got the kind of stuff that Ventura has. At the same time, you do want to give him a chance to get wild if he's got a tendency that night to do so.
3-1 pitch popped up in the foul territory, and that's an easy play for Hosmer. Well, coming up tonight and after every Reds game this summer, join us for Reds Live, the postgame version presented by Performance Kings Honda. Jim Day, Jeff Pecoro, Brian Giesenslaw and company standing by for that. Same start time again tomorrow as we continue to play in a light rain here in Kansas City. Reds Live, the pregame show, gets underway at 7:30. Our game coverage starts at 8. Marlon Byrd down a strike. And then we will resume play for the Ohio Cup starting Friday night. Reds in the Tribe from downtown Cleveland, Ohio.
Well, Tom, noticing in the box scores of the minor leagues, and I looked up what the Louisville Bats were doing. They were playing the team from Norfolk, and they ended up winning that ball game. But the starter in that ball game was Manny Parra, down evidently on a rehab assignment on the disabled list with a sore neck. He struck out the side and pitched 1 inning. So that's a step in the right direction for the Reds to get another left-hander back. David Holmberg came in and pitched the next 6 innings or so to pick up the win.
Nice. Strike 3 called to Marlin, and he knew it.
Well, you saw that little grouping of where the pitches were in our Fox tracks, and it looked like every fastball they wanted to throw to Marlon Byrd was not down and out over the plate, but right in on the inside corner.
One ball and 1 strike on Brandon Phillips. Six strikeouts, no walks, 4 hits, no runs. So far for the Reds tonight against Yordano Ventura.
You gotta love Brandon Phillips, though, don't you? I mean, he was fooled badly on that, took a horrible swing, and came out of the box laughing. Said, hey, you know, that happens. Got a guy throwing in the high 90s. He drops a hook on you like that. Now it's all business again.
Yeah. 3-2. On the ground is second, and Ventura with a perfect 7th inning. He's retired 7 in a row since the last hit by Mesoraco in the 5th. 2-0 KC. Three-day weekend series, Super Saturday. The first 25,000 fans in attendance receive a Billy Hamilton bobblehead presented by Cincinnati Bell. So come on down to the ballpark. The Nats in town, the 29th, the 30th, and the final day of May. Cueto to face 8-9-1 in the batting order. Johnny's allowed just 2 runs on 7 hits, but his team has been shut out on 4 hits by Ventura. On the outside corner, it's 0-2. Infante knocked in the first Kansas City run with a 2-out, 2-strike single to left field, plating Hosmer. Strike 3. Ooh, my goodness. Cueto thought that was strike 3. Even wincing as if to say, wow. Take a look.
Well, Infante is going to make him work a little bit, or at least make him throw more pitches than he did last inning. He had a 4-pitch inning in the 6th. Cueto did, and he's already thrown out 5 pitches to Infante this inning.
Nice play by Closine. Infante can run, and he legs it out. A good get there by Zach Cozart. But it's an infield single for the Royals' second baseman.
The Royals feel that their shortstop, Alcides Escobar, is one of the fine defensive shortstops in all the game. They haven't seen Zach Cozart very often. So that's a dandy play. Infante, as you say, Tom, can get down that line quickly, and it's an infield hit.
Well, they had Orlando lay down a bunt for a hit earlier. Shows bunt here. That's when he came up there and bunted with 2 on and 2 out to load the bases before Cueto retired Escobar, ending the 2nd inning. And then Orlando had a clean single into center field, scored from first on a double, or from second on a double by Moustakas. 1 ball and 2 strikes. The Reds have action in their bullpen. First time all night. It's right-hander J.J. Hoover cranking it up down there for Cueto. He has a leadoff man aboard. And we are in the 7th inning. Royals with a 2-0 lead. Straight up in the air, should be out number 1. Looking into a very light rain is closeout, 1 out. Well, as you know, I mean, managers in the American League, they're just basing what they see, whether it's, you know, a pitcher who's starting to tire, a pitcher who's starting to get knocked around, and you're basing it strictly on, you know, where is your pitcher? You have to worry about hitting for him. None of those kinds of decisions. That's why really you talk to managers that have managed in both leagues, and they'll tell you there really is nothing quite like managing a National League game compared to managing an American League game.
So really, if you think about that, Tom, and you think about the move that the Miami Marlins recently made by taking their general manager Dan Jennings and naming him the field manager, having really no experience as a manager, did some high school baseball coaching, but I mean, that game can be pretty quick. You're going to need a lot of help from your bench coaches to prod you on certain things, saying, hey, you want to bring the infield in here? Do you want to shift here? Who do you want up in the bullpen? 3 batters down, and so-and-so is going to be coming up. What do you want the matchup to be? And things are nice and easy when your team is leading by 3 or 4 runs, but when you're grinding out every last run, you've got to be right on top of things. Not only pitch by pitch, as like we are as fans watching the game, but preparing for what's going to happen, even an inning or 2 in advance, especially in the National League with the double switch.
And Brian Price admitted as much last year. He said, I have heard from my conversations, and you may remember as there's a fly ball to Bird and left for the 2nd out of the inning, that Brian Price had really spent a lot of time on the phone and in face-to-face meetings with some of the great managers present and in years past, after he had accepted the Reds job to become their skipper after being a pitching coach forever. And every one of them told him, you're not going to believe how fast the game moves, and he admitted that last year.
And it's not only his eyes. I mean, there are other coaches in the dugout too, each with assignments on certain parts of the game to prepare for. And most all of it falls on Jay Bell. So many of the moves that you see a manager makes are prompted by the bench coach.
The last time the Reds won a World Series, they brought in a manager who had only managed in the American League and played exclusively his career as a player in the American League. That ball into left center field, and it's going to fall a hit. This will bring in another run. Boy, what a big time to get another big hit by Moustakas. His 3rd hit, 2nd double, 2nd run batted in.
Boy, this guy is just some kind of impressive hitter here. Really doesn't try to do too much with any of these pitches. I mean, you've got to be committed to hitting that ball to left field, to take that pitch where it is and hit it with the authority that he did. It's a good looking swing.
Well, we continue to get back to the Royals and what they are doing as a team with runners in scoring position, and then break it down even further. What they are doing with runners in scoring position and 2 out. They're hitting .304 with runners in scoring position and 2 out. And we're not talking about, you know, a handful of at-bats here. They have 174 at-bats already this year with runners in scoring position and 2 outs. There's a ground ball to 3rd. And the inning is over. That's a big tack-on run. 3-0, Kansas City in front. scoring with a 2-out run scoring single, and we'll pound this theme away. Hitting with runners in scoring position. Moustakas made it 2-0 with a double in the 5th. He made it 3-0 with a double in the 7th inning. And Yordano Ventura threw 7, and he's been lights out.
Yeah, this is what they expected to see out of Yordano Ventura. A little more this year. Last year, he was 10th in the American League in earned run average. Ventura was. That was as a 22-year-old. They had him in the organization for quite a while. They signed him when he was 16 years old. He's from Samana, Dominican Republic. 2 times Ventura was in the All-Star Futures game, and he gives that way now to a guy that will throw even harder than the starter. Kelvin Herrera routinely dials it up in the triple-digit area. So the Royals are bringing the heat to the table tonight.
What a marvelous job by Ventura. 7 innings of 4-hit shutout baseball. And after all the walks leading up to this start, he does not walk a single batter tonight, punching out 6. So Herrera to face Bruce, Mesoraco, and Hamilton. All the noise in the Reds lineup, by and large, has been made at the bottom of the order. Bruce is 1 for 2. Mesoraco is 2 for 2. You know, you throw in the 2-out run scoring hits tonight for Kansas City. And we're just using it as a basis because we showed you the numbers about the runners in scoring position, how the Royals lead the major leagues in that category, and the Reds are 30th out of 32 teams. The Royals have scored 30 more runs than the Reds have scored just with 2-out hits. That's a run almost per game. One out here in the 8th. And Chris, you talked about it. The real strength of this Kansas City team, our IGS bringing the energy, tells you about the Royals bullpen.
Well, you know, the Reds have maybe one of the most dominant closers in all of baseball, maybe all baseball history. And the Royals have a pretty doggone good closer too. Most teams do, but it's all the stuff getting to that closer. So when you talk about a bullpen, you're talking about a cumulative 1.6 earned run average for the entire bullpen. That's even in blowout games, you guys are getting it done. I mean, you have a bullpen like that, and it's not innings eaters. It's guys that are throwing zeros up.
Been a real good night for Devin. A pair of singles into left field. Getting the so rare start since he cannot play in the field. The last time he was in a lineup is the only interleague series before tonight the Reds have played this year. And of course that was in Chicago against the White Sox. Boy, what is it with these American League Central Division cities? We go to them and they're 40 degrees. It was freezing in Chicago, and it's not freezing here, but it is certainly colder than where we've been since Chicago.
Well, get used to it. It's going to be colder tomorrow night.
Well, you went out and bought a sweater today.
I went out and bought 2 sweaters. I've got one on. I've got another one in the bag in case you get cold.
Thanks for telling me in the 8th inning.
I'm always taking care of you.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
I'm waiting for your lips to turn blue.
You're right.
Then I'll come to your rescue.
I appreciate it. I ran back in between innings, and you know, the very gracious host when you get off the elevator here, the security guy Bob back here, he's sitting back there with a short sleeve shirt on. I said, well, you're mighty comfortable.
Well, he's got his garbage cans on fire. That's why.
That's right. He said, well, I haven't turned down the air for you out there a little bit.
And they say this is the Garden City of the American League Central.
First walk of the night by a Kansas City pitcher. That's ball 1 to Hamilton. Well, it will not be long. First sign of trouble. They'll get some other horses up in that bullpen. It's only a 3-0 game.
You know, one of the guys that they signed that has been a tremendous contributor to that bullpen is Ryan Madson. Took kind of a flyer on Madson, and he has delivered earned run average way down there very low, 1.4 in 16 games.
Well, he took a flyer too on Franklin Morales. I mean, they've really done a nice job in their scouting, not only of their draft picks and developing those players once they draft them after a long time where they did not. I mean, a long time. People lost their jobs here. Hamilton fouls it off in and out of the mid of Perez, and it's still 1 ball and 2 strikes on Billy. Hamilton gone looking, 2 away in the 8th.
He thought that was low. Our box track shows right at the bottom of the zone. I think it looked low.
Cozart first pitch swinging, a bouncing ball, and that'll take care of business in the 8th. We go to the bottom of the inning where the Royals lead 3-0. We'll get it out.
It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
On a given night, the numbers for Johnny Cueto would be plenty good enough to get a win. 7 innings, 9 hits, 3 runs, 102 pitches. But not tonight. The best he can hope for is a no decision, as he will make his way back to the Reds clubhouse and give way to right-hander J.J. Hoover, who really has thrown the ball quite well lately. Really has thrown the ball well all year long, outside of one dismal outing in Milwaukee very early in the month of April, the Reds' first road trip of the year.
Yeah, that was that grand slam night when it seemed like every other hitter was going deep. He gave up one of them, and that inflated his earned run average way more than it really ought to be.
Now you take away that one game, and I mean he's under 1 for the year, and there's 1 pitch and 1 out. Well, they have double barrel action now in that Kansas City bullpen. You got Wade Davis down there throwing. He's a closer of this Kansas City team. Kendrys Morales with 1 out. He's walked, fly to left, lined out to center field. Now a bouncing ball at Brandon down on 1 knee to make sure 2 outs. Tomorrow, 7:30 Eastern Time, and before every game here on Fox Sports Ohio with the Reds baseball, it's Reds Live presented by Ray St. Clair Roofing. And the pitching matchup tomorrow night, another Royals pitcher with a very high ERA. That was the story on Ventura coming into this game. I mean, his numbers were not good. Neither are Jeremy Guthrie's.
Well, Ventura's got that upside that Guthrie doesn't. Guthrie's been around a little bit, obviously. A lot of people are surprised that he's still hanging right in there.
Speaking of, I saw where earlier today, officially sending out, I guess it was on Twitter, that Bruce Chen announced his retirement from baseball. Of course, he bounced around with so many teams, spent the longest period of time in his career here with the Kansas City Royals, a little bit of time with the Reds. But boy, you talk about a guy who made the most of his talent, played a long time.
17 years overall, ended up 1 game over 500 with 82 wins. 37 years old and finally called it quits. Does that mean you are now officially on Twitter?
No, I just saw it when I was on the Royals pregame show.
I thought, man,
you know better than that. You know a lot better without even asking. When I need to find out about Twitter, I lean on you and Joel Luckup, our statistician at Great American Ballpark. Dialed in on the Twitter world. You not as much, I don't think, right?
No, I read it. I mean, I follow baseball people, really.
So who do you follow the most? That you're, or who do you seem to get the most information that you kind of like from? I'm being serious about this now. Is there anybody out there that kind of stands out?
Yeah, you know, some of the guys that write for these websites like Baseball Prospectus and Fangraphs and things like that, they prompt you to look at their articles, and I read some of those.
Gotcha. Okay.
And Jim Day, I followed the Day Man,
but not at night. difference in Moustakas last year to this year. Not only the numbers, just the whole approach.
Well, and that's exactly what he credits himself for. I mean, the difference. I mean, he doesn't give all the credit to himself. Dale Swaim, the hitting coach, has been working with him very diligently, but he was stubborn. He wanted to get up there and he wanted to hit like he always did, and he realized that he was hitting right in the teeth of the shift. He wasn't getting any base hits the other way, and now he's opened up the entire field through an approach that gives him a chance to get base hits when they're shifting on you. Of course, the balls that he hit in the gaps tonight, nobody's going to get those. And he has single-handedly taken care of Johnny Cueto tonight with the effort that he has had this evening.
You know, we brought up earlier about Wade Davis getting time as the closer. Well, now that Greg Holland is back,
right?
He's pitched in 5 games since returning from the disabled list on May the 6th. Missed 16 games with a right pectoral strain. Holland has 7 saves. Davis is 6 out of 6. And he's not allowed an earned run all year. And these guys just come in throwing gas. Herrera an inning with a walk and a strikeout. Well, we showed you the numbers earlier if you did not see them. In Cincinnati, we had the nasty boys that pitched the Reds to a World Series title. 3 of those guys, as we know. There were others, but those were the 3 that grabbed the headlines. It is top to bottom. All hands on deck for this Kansas City Royals bullpen. The kind of numbers they have posted. Chris alluded to it a moment ago. They are just unbelievable. I don't care what the sample size is. They played 38 games. And an ERA in the 1s.
And that's bolstering up a starting staff that really is not one of the better staffs around. You just wonder, though, that if the Kansas City Royals might be looking for one more pitcher to complete things. If they've got the resources to go out and maybe get a rental player.
Strike 3 call.
They did a couple of years ago when they got James Shields. In fact, in that same deal, they got the pitcher who's on the mound right now in Davis. This is a backdoor cutter, and it is a dandy of a pitch. I mean, for a left-handed hitter, you just give up on that pitch because you're thinking that ball's going to tail away and go outside, be a ball. And Davis has figured out a way to just cut that corner out there, and that's the pitch that has made him some money here this year.
Pop up, shallow center field by Votto, and Lorenzo Cain doesn't even leave his feet to go get it. My, oh my.
I'm not really sure how to read that play by Cain because it looked like he was kind of jogging after it, and he had it under control the entire way. And he calls off the shortstop at the last second and then has a little snow cone catch.
So now a real nice crowd on a chilly night, rainy night in Kansas City. Rises has one. 3-0 Royals. 2 outs in the Reds' ninth. Frazier looks at a strike. Nearly 30,000 on this Wednesday night. Tuesday night, I beg your pardon. Wrap it up tomorrow night. Frazier down 0-2. 1 ball and 2 strikes on Frazier. Reds down to their final out of the night. Frazier hanging around, fouling it out of play. The only interleague series the Reds have played this year, they dropped 2 of 3 in Chicago against the White Sox, and the Reds historically have not been a good team during interleague play. Last year, you may remember, it was just a disaster.
And the Royals were quite the opposite.
Yes.
They dominated in interleague play last year. It's one of the reasons why they're able to get into the playoffs.
That's the old ball game. The trio of Ventura, Herrera, and Davis combine on a 4-hit shutout. That is the second shutout thrown by Kansas City this year. It's the 3rd time the Reds have been shut out this year. And in the first of 2, the Royals blanked the Reds by a final count of 3-0. We'll be back with more from Kauffman Stadium in Kansas City right after this timeout.